Welcome in and welcome back to the Down South Philly Show, brought to you by the Sports Lounge Media and the Diamond Collection. How y'all feeling this week, man? It's been an interesting week. We had a few heart attacks, right? So we had some things that didn't quite go our way, some things that kind of shook up the week. Uh Obviously, let's start from the top. So everybody was up in arms and a little nervous about the news that Landon Dickerson was basically carted off the field in the open practice that we had this past weekend. Shout out to Philly fans, man. They sold that thing out like a week before. We talking about practice. We talking about practice. So open practice that sold out a week before. That's pretty impressive. So obviously, uh Philly fans and Eagles Nation ready to see some Eagles football. Um, but toward the tail end of that thing, we get hit with the news that well, we saw Landon Dickerson get hurt, and then it came out that he had a lower leg injury to be determined. So can't go to sleep at that point, right? You wake up, they say he fears to have a meniscus injury, whatever. Fast forward to now, it turns out that it wasn't as bad as we thought. He will have surgery in the near future. It is a meniscus injury, um, which will require surgery, but things are pointing to after the surgery possibly being week to week, and even being hopeful for being available for September the 4th. Now, I personally think that could be a little too early. Maybe that second week, maybe that third week. But the good news is Landon Dickerson is gonna be okay. Not a season-ending injury. But to add insult to injury, his backup, Quinyon Green, is out for the rest of the preseason with a shoulder injury. So if you've been paying attention to the channel for the off season, and we have been banging the table. I'm talking about banging the table for depth at the cornerback position, right? Why? Because it is. Because obviously, when you look at our starting 22, it's not much concern there. But when you talk about what happens when one of the 22 go down, or what happens when the backup to the backup goes down. So in this case, that's exactly what happens. So Kenyon Green is one of those guards. He was looking to basically fill that hole that Landon Dickerson left behind, at least temporarily speaking. So he won't be able to do that now. So he's at least gonna be out for the rest of the preseason, and possibly even getting cut, because we got some young guys behind him. I think we got a couple players playing left and right guard. Obviously, we're not worried about Steen. Steen pretty much has solidified that right guard position, right? So when you think about left guard, thinking about maybe a Kendall, Drew Kendall. I can't remember who else is behind them, but when it comes to Stoutland University and his guys, I'm pretty confident that we can you know string some things together to make sure that we okay, at least until Landon Dickerson gets back. With the good news that he's not going to be gone for a long time, we should be able to make it a few weeks without that. So prayers out to them. I'm glad that they're all right. Kenyon, I got to be careful because that's so close to Quinyon. Kenyon Green, we praying for him too. Hopefully, he got a speedy recovery after the preseason. So after that, obviously, well, before the practice, we got to talk about this game, right? So we had our first preseason game of the season against the Cincinnati Bengals, which we actually got some good work out of that. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that one, Joe Burrow and the rest of the starters were gonna get some burn, which means that our guys were gonna get some good snaps in, right? So we still got the open battle between Keely Ringo or Dory Jackson. Of course, we also traded for what we talked about last week. We traded for Jacorian Bennett. Jacorian Bennett. So he's getting some snaps now. But in this game, obviously, that was front and center. So Joe Burrow comes out and slices us up for on the first drive with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, mostly Jamar Chase. The timing with those two was perfect. Now, with that being said, we were playing a lot of off coverage. You know how Vic Fangio starts off games, heavy zone concept, nothing behind him. So while it did not look good, I'm not saying that it looked good. Is you can't really defend Ringo or Jackson on their play in the first two series. But what I can say is typically that's how we start, right? So if we go back to last year when we played the Bengals in the regular season, it looked similar to that. Maybe not from the missed tackle standpoint, but they were able to march down the field the whole first half. So a lot of people have forgotten that basically that's how we look initially. We get things before we get things cooking, we fill out the offense in a sense. So by the time halftime comes around and you haven't figured out how you want to attack this defense, you cook. So let's just pump the brakes a little bit on. Let's not just throw Keely Ringo out or Dory Jackson out because they looked a little rough. Now, first with Ringo, obviously, um, a lot of the plays that he got beat on initially were like back shoulder throws, timing with the Burrow and Jamar Chase. They were just hard to defend, right? I think the most egregious or the worst play that sticks out when it comes to Ringo was that missed tackle. Obviously, when he came down, he took a bad angle. Jamar, he spins inside and off to the races. So that play right there is on his record. But obviously, we've heard some great things out of him in practice since that game. Been making plays. Obviously, he's motivated because he got embarrassed. And everybody been talking about him. But I'm one of the ones that has kind of told everybody to pump the brakes on Ringo, give him a chance. He could possibly be that starter. Obviously, this is just an eyebrow raise moment. I still believe that Ringo can be what we need him to be. But you just can't defend him in that case, right? It just looked bad. He just put out some bad tape in front of the world. And when that happens, it's kind of hard to defend your guy. And I don't necessarily know if Ringo is my guy as much as I'm for the best player for the job, right? So with the current information that we know, Ringo didn't look good. Um, Adoree Jackson didn't look that much better, but Adoree Jackson did have an impressive tackle. I like on the right sideline, he did come up and tackle Brown and stop him from getting the first down on that first couple of series. So I did at least like that. Ringo missed the tackle, but I'm not overly excited about that, right? I'm not down or out on Ringo. I know some people this just reaffirmed their suspicion that Ringo or Dory Jackson weren't the guys for the job for CB2. I'm not quite ready to go there yet. I say give it some more time. It was just one preseason game. It wasn't even they didn't play the whole game. They played a few series in the first half. Maybe even the first half altogether. I'm not real sure. But when it comes to the starters, that was some good work. So whether they look good or whether they look bad, I'm just grateful for the fact that they was able to do it against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, that whole starting offense, right? So I was proud of the fact that I don't know about proud. I'm just glad that they got some good work at the end of the day. Some more people that got some good work. Obviously, Jahad Campbell. our first round draft pick. He flashed. It's crazy to believe that he was able to fall to us at the end of the first round. So I mean, in that case, it's looking like he's gonna push for that starting job beside Zach Bond. Yo, what's good, Bagel? It's looking like he's gonna push for that starting position next to Zach Bond, and they could make a scary tandem. So I'm excited about that. Smile Monday got in. He showed some good things. Now he did get stiff on. Chase Brown did stiff arm him on his way. I don't know if he necessarily scored, but he almost scored. But that was like a welcome to the NFL rookie moment right there. Outside of that, he seemed to be pretty good. Shout out to the Vanilla Gorilla. Ty Robinson got his first sack. Proud of him on that. That's probably who I was most excited to see out there. The defensive line looked pretty good. Uche provided some good pressure on the when he was out there. Um Trotter Jr. had some good work out there. Overall, it was pretty. I would say it was kind of what we needed to see. See what Bagel said. Did you see the massive fight at Cowboys training camp? Which one? It seemed like they fighting all the time. Even the Cowboys hate the Cowboys. Hey, you ain't lying about that. No, I missed that. Did that happen today, or you talking about what happened last week? Let's see. Kev talking birds. Can we say that Jakari and Bennett will be out? CB2, Adore and Keely don't look like they got it. Well, here's the thing, Kev. I'm all for seeing what Bennett got. On tape he looked like a dog. It's hard to defend what Adore and Kelly put on tape. It wasn't the whole game, so let's just take it with a grain of salt. We got to remember that no matter how bad it looked, um, that's how Joe Burrow looked last year when we played him in a real game. Remember, in the regular season last year, they marched down the field the whole first half. Maybe not to the tune of missing a tackle, but marching down the field is marching down the field. So collectively, he sliced up our defense, and we gotta tip our hat to one of the best corner quarterbacks in the league. That's just what it is. Joe Burrow, he got a lot to prove this year. He's heard a lot. Let me keep that up. He's heard a lot of chatter about him not having what the other guys got, even though a lot of people say that he's elite, and I think he's elite. I'm not saying that I don't think he's elite. Uh, with respect to him, he was ready for this, so we gotta just tip our hat when it's due. But when it comes to Adore and Keely specifically, um, Big Fangio said it was gonna take a whole preseason to see exactly what they got. So let's give it some more time. Let's throw Bennett into the rotation. If he looks better, let him earn the position. I'm not team anybody. I'm team whoever is the best man for the job. Now, if we get all three of them out there and none of them making nothing shake, go get a Gilmore, go get a Santi Samuel Jr. I'm I'm not necessarily tied to any of these guys. I just want the best. I want the best player for the job, man. I I just need to see better performance going in. Absolutely, Kev. I'm 100% with you on that. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough at the end of the day. We can't, whenever you see an offense just carve through a defense like a hot knife through butter, hey, it's a cause for concern. But at the end of the day, it was a short sample size. Them boys did what they needed to do on the offensive side of the ball. Talking about the Bengals. The Bengals did exactly what they wanted to do. Got their 2 series, got out of there. Um, on the flip side, though, as questionable as those first 2 drives look for us defensively, um, we looked pretty damn good offensively, and that was our second unit. Second, we was out there with twos and threes. Um, what I'm not 100% sure about was if those were the Bengals ones in there defensively, those first two drives. If it was, the Bengals are in trouble because it's no reason why we were able to march down the field all night long if that was their first unit with our twos and threes. Tanner McKee looked great. So I think he went 20 for 25, had 2 touchdowns through the air, got another one in the tush push with 135 QB rating. He did everything that you needed him to do from a backup standpoint, right? So you got some people saying that, hey, he looked great. We need to go ahead and put him on the trading block and get what we can get for him. False. No, you need to have a competent backup. Now, what happens if Hurts goes down for a period of time, and now we got to depend on a rookie to be a backup or DTR to be a backup? I'm not comfortable with that. I say keep it exactly how it is. Tanner McKee has solidified himself as QB2 in this offense, and that's the goal, is to have as many good players on the team as possible. Offensive depth looked really good. Those guys executed, yes, yes, at a very high level. And you beat me to it. You beat me to it, Kev. Darius Cooper, he got it, man. Now this was only one preseason game, so we got to take it with a grain of salt at the end of the day. I've seen JJ Ortega-Whiteside have an amazing camp and a great preseason game. We've seen Jalen Reagor have a great camp. Let's see if it can translate over. Obviously, he's been able to be worked in with the ones, but we can't deny what we saw in that one game, right? Darius Cooper flashed all night long. He was getting open, burning guys, nice hands. I think he got in the end zone at least one time. That's exactly what you want to see. Jahan Dotson looked good too. So I think, in my opinion, I think Dotson went ahead and solidified the number 3 wide receiver position. So 1, 2, and 3 are accounted for. Darius Cooper and Johnny Wilson can kind of, and Anaya Smith can battle for that number 4. Um, Johnny had a great game. He actually was able to use his size. Uh, got a good back shoulder catch in there. Just was a big target, and showcased his hands, something that we haven't really been able to see a whole lot of. But if he can continue to play like that, you got to think that he'll be, one of the wide receiver 4, maybe a 5. My question is, once you get down to that low in the depth chart, what else can he do? Because the lower you are on the depth chart, the more you're going to be expected to contribute on special teams, right? I don't really know what, I don't see him being a gunner. um I don't really see him. I mean, he's a good blocker, right? So, but I still don't see him being on like a field goal team or anything like that. It'll be interesting to see what else he can do outside of just being a wide receiver. Um, Again, as I mentioned, he's a great blocker, but I do like what we saw out of him. Offense in general just looked good. Will Shipley looked good. AJ looked good. I can't think of his last name, but the running back that we got from Green Bay, he looked good. Um, Offensive line was excellent. It just, offensively, no worries. Obviously, and you may have missed it, but I touched on Landon Dickerson injury and what that could possibly mean. But good news is he won't be out as much as he can, as long as we thought he would be, which is great news. So offensively, I'm good with that. Let me see what else from the offensive side of the ball. I think we pretty much covered the highlights from that side of the ball. But when we're talking about Tanner McKee specifically, he was sharp. Um, he to me solidified the QB2 position, and that's exactly what you want, right? You want a quarterback too that you can depend on to get you, hold it in the road, because every year Hurts goes down for maybe a game or two. I think he missed like 3 weeks last year. The the year before that, I don't know if he missed a game, but definitely the 2022 season, he missed at least 2 games. So it looks like Hurts, with the style that he plays, he could potentially be out for a game or two a season. You need somebody to come in and hold it in the road, right? And potentially win a game or two. We're not gonna always be in a position where we can coast, and it's cool to have a backup in, because we already got such a heavy lead on the rest of the league that it doesn't really matter. We've been fortunate enough to have a really good record the past 3 years where it didn't really hurt us that much. So I know some people saying that Tanner McKee looks so good that we should trade him and get top value for him. Nah, nah, we need to go ahead and keep him in house, and let the game be strong. Let his game just I think he'll get paid next year though. I don't see us giving him a big bag. I think that we'll need to look elsewhere for a quarterback to next year, but we'll worry about that next year. This year right here, Tanner McKee is the guy. He solidified himself as a backup. He looked damn good. I think that he could push for a starting job in places like a Indianapolis, um, maybe even a New Orleans Saints team that doesn't really have much quarterback strength. Um, but defensively, again, we talked about the good things that we see from our rookie Jahad Campbell. We weren't able to see um, the safety that we got out of Texas, Andrew Makuba. Obviously, he's been dealing with that right shoulder injury. I would have liked to see him in that, but we did see him in the open practice. He was a limited participant. He had a nice breakup pass out there, so he's at least back in the rotation from that standpoint. So hope, hopefully we get to see him in the next preseason game, right, against the Browns. So with that being said, let's see. We got to talk Moro Jomo. At this point, it's more than just a coincidence, or it's more than just a couple practices or a couple series. He been flashing the whole all season, the whole camp, and carrying that over to the games. I'm hearing that a Jomo is the truth. Now, if you go back to when we picked our standouts for the 2025 season, Ajomo was one of the ones. He came on. I can't even say he came on late. He had a phenomenal year last year in a small sample size. Obviously, being behind a few dogs in Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Milton Williams in the gang. He just was buried on the depth chart. But when he got his chances, he definitely showed up. And down the stretch, when you talk about the Super Bowl run, he was a key factor in that. Obviously, with the main thing, the whole defensive line showing up in the Super Bowl, but being on a team with a Jalen Carter, being on the same line with a Jalen Carter just makes you that much better, right? I'm so excited to see the D line hunt. It ain't even funny. And then you got the added benefit of seeing a Ty Robinson coming right behind him, right? So, you got a Jordan Davis on his last year. Well, it's not his last year. We did extend him. But this is kind of like a a contract year for Jordan Davis, right? So obviously he comes into camp slim. I'm expecting big things out of him. So that room is stacked. Everybody should get off. Iron sharpens iron. I am beyond excited to see what they're gonna do on that side of the ball. Um, Let me see. When we talked Joe Burrow, he was in the 2 series, 9 for 10, 123 yards with 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 157 passer rating. Again, you got to take that with a grain of salt in that obviously our starting unit wasn't out there. But he did exactly what he was supposed to do. It was a very clean, efficient night for him. Him and Jamar Chase. I think that might have been Jamar Chase's first preseason game. First time playing a preseason game in week 1 since he was like a rookie. It's not really much to prove, but you understand why they did it because they traditionally they start slow, right? So they have outside of the Super Bowl season, every year they basically start bad. You talking 1-3s, 1-2s, 1-4s, basically putting themselves in a hole that they sometimes can't dig out of. The past 2 seasons, they haven't been able to dig out of it. So coming into this season, fully healthy, not no contract disputes when it comes to Jamar Chase. It was a little something with T. Higgins initially, but they went ahead and took care of him. I think that the offense is probably going to be a top 5 unit. And looking at their defense, they have to be. They have to be, because that defense got shredded by our backup. So, when you think about what the Bengals can be, they basically are the same as they've been the past 2 years. Um, Great offensively, efficient offensively, but at the end of the day, if you got to score 60 points to win the game, it's not sustainable for a season. I think that even if they do make it to the playoffs, the defense is ultimately what's going to hold them back. You can't make it to a championship game or deep in the playoffs giving up everything. You got to be good at something. You got to be able to stop the run or really good at the pass. But if you give everything up, I really don't see. I don't see any difference between the 25 Bengals and the 24 Bengals. Obviously, we like to think that they'll be better, and it's only one preseason game, so we'll see. But early on, everything is pointing to them being the same old Bengals. Great offensively, lackluster defensively. Other than that, it wasn't really. Those were the big points of the game. Obviously, Patrick Johnson had a big time play, an interception where he tipped the ball to himself and picked it off. I thought he was gonna take it to the house, but he didn't. See, talked about the tush push, Tanner McKee, Darius Cooper. Yeah, those were the main points of the night. Just excited to see some more ball, man. Tell me if it's anything that I missed that stuck out to y'all from the Bengals, from that first preseason game against the Bengals. Obviously we called that game, so shout out to everybody that joined us. We had a blast. We'll actually be streaming the Bengals game as well, which is Saturday at 1 o'clock. So tune into that. We also have the preview for the Bengals game coming up this Thursday. So that'll be live on this channel. Excited to break down what we may see. Expected to see some more Shador. Don't know if he's gonna start, but he should at least play a half, whether it's the first half or the second half. I don't know. Ready to break that down. I think this week of joint practice is going to be interesting too because we don't have not only do we not have Landon Dickerson, but we don't have Kenyon Green. So the backup is not there. So we'll be able to see what kind of depth we got at that at that guard position, right? Hopefully we can, stay relatively healthy for the rest of the preseason on into the regular season. AJ Brown he's back, but he's in limited capacity. We want to kind of, you know, nurse that hamstring. We want him to be all good for September the 4th. So if we need to bring him back slow, bring him back slow. I'm not tripping off that. Other than that, those were the biggest points. I didn't want to keep you too long today. I just wanted to cover the main points of our first preseason game. Again, we'll be back at 7:30 this Thursday to break down and preview the game between the Cleveland Browns and the Philadelphia Eagles. So stay tuned for that. Again, we got to give another shout out because this stream is powered by the Sports Lounge Media and the Diamond Collection. So make sure that you head on over to Sports Lounge Media, give them a sub, and then while you're there, you might as well sub up everything that's on the channel. We got obviously the Down South Philly show covering all things birds. We got Ken's Patch Talks, who covers all your Patriots news. We got Sports with Sunshine, which covers a variety of sports, heavy on football right now. So he's gonna cover all 32 teams in the league. We got SLM Bets, which is going for any parlays we got out there. If you just got into sports betting, SLM Bets is for you. And last but not least, we got the Marshall Experience. So for all of our fantasy players out there, or fantasy managers out there, if you want some good tips, go ahead and tune into the Marshall Experience. And actually, they're coming on in about an hour. So if you want to get some tips, some tricks, I know a lot of people still haven't drafted yet. So go ahead and tune into that. It's going to be on the Sports Lounge Media at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. So go ahead and check that out. Other than that, that's all I have for y'all tonight. This is a quick episode. I just wanted to get in here, see how y'all was feeling. If I missed anything, go ahead and drop it in the comments. If you watching this on replay, make sure that you let me know your big thoughts about what happened in the game and if it's anything that I missed. Other than that, we'll be back Thursday to preview the Bengals, to preview the Browns. And as always, go Birds.